Hello everyone. So in this demonstration, I'm going to show you how we can create a side panel in Power. So when I click on the gallery item, as you can see, we have this panel opening from left to right, and it will give a transition effect. And when I click on the close button, the panel will close. So this thing we are going to build in Power Apps. So for that, just head over to make.powerapps.com. We'll create an application from scratch. I will give my application name as left panel demo. And for this demonstration, I'm going to use one Excel file for showing the data on the gallery. I will put this Excel file in the description as well, so you can use it for your demo. So first of all, I will add that. So inside data source, I will select import from Excel. And once I click on that, I will add my file and I will say connect. So the file has been added. The first thing we are going to build is we are going to build this header. So for this, I have used the modern control. So to enable the modern control, you have to go to settings. Then you have to scroll down a little bit and you have to enable this option, modern control and themes. So once it is done, you can utilize the model controls in your Canvas app. So when I click on insert, we will search for header. So it will add one header. I will just keep the height as 50. I don't want to show logo. That's why I will turn this off. And for the home screen, I will put the name as home. So after that, we want one gallery. For that, I will use gallery control. For the gallery, I will choose the data source from our Excel table. I just imported the file. I will just align it a little bit. So in this demo, our main focus is to create a sidebar. So we can ignore all these UI kind of things. I will select the wrap count as 3. So in my Excel, I have properties like this item, the city, name, first name, last name, and image. So all these kind of things you can use. And for the image, I will put this item dot image. Okay, so next thing for this panel, we need a container. So this is the one container that we are going to build. So I'll go back to my Power Apps and I will click on insert to insert a container and I will give it a color as yellow to highlight and I will give its height and width. So I will give a width of 500 and height at 768, or I can choose the parent dot height. So it will take the complete height of the app. Okay, so the next thing what we want. So when we click on this any gallery item, the panel should open. So for that, we are going to set some variables. And as you can see in this demo, when I click on this, the panel will not open immediately. So we have some little transition effects. So how did I achieve this? I use the timer control for that. So for it, I am going to insert a timer control. So this is really interesting. So for this timer control, we have to set the timer exactly same as the width of the container. So here, the width of my container is 500 So I will set a timer and duration of it to be 500. So it's a 500 milliseconds. It's in ms, right? That's why I'm going to set it 500. Okay. So after that, to show the panel and hide the panel, we are going to need one variable. And to start the timer, when I click on this gallery item, for that also we are going to use one variable. So I will click on gallery. I will click on edit. So the item we have selected, go to advanced and select its on select property. And for that, we are going to set one variable. So I will set where show panel true. So when we click on item, we want to show the panel. And after that, we are going to start a timer. So I will put another variable, set where start timer, and I will set it as true. Okay, so these two variables we have added for the gallery. So again, I'm explaining the where show panel. This is to show the panel, and where start timer is to start the timer when we click on the gallery item. So this thing we have done, like when I click on the item, the panel should open. Then to close the panel, we are going to need one button that should be inside this container. So let's say I will do some UI things here. I will change the color of the container. Then I will, let's say, put one image. And this image is to be gallery1.selected.image. I will put one text control to show the first name and last name. So it will be gallery1.selected.first name, or we can concatenate. So if you don't know about this, so this is the way to write a Power Apps formula. So either you can write this or you can go in traditional way. Like I will choose gallery1.selected.first name, and I want a space between these two, and I will put gallery1.selected.last name. So both this will work. So I generally prefer the first one. So if you are new to this, so this is also a way. So it's like a ternary operator. If you are working with JavaScript and all these things, you know this. Okay. Okay. So these things, I will just align it to the center and will make it as bold. Okay. So let's say when I click on the other item, let's say it is changing or not. So as you can see, when I click on other item, it is changing. But one thing you notice, once the panel is open, we don't want user to click on these things directly, right? So for this, what we did, so as you can closely look here, when I click on the item, there is a rectangle, or let's say we can say the overlay. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to add one rectangle. So click on insert and add a rectangle. I will set it color as black with let's say 60% opacity. I will put this container and its width to be parent.width, and let's say its heights to be parent.height. So you notice that we want this container on top of every other element of the screen. So just right click on this container and click on reorder and say bring to front. Okay, so that's it. So the second thing we have done. The third thing we want to do, we want one close button. So when I click on close, the panel should be closed and that rectangle should be disappear. For that, I am going to click on insert. I am going to add a button that says close. Okay, so for this button, what we are going to do, we are going to reset the timer and we are going to set the show panel as off. So first thing, what we are going to do, just click, we are going to click on set where show panel as false because we want to hide that panel. The next thing we are going to do, we are going to reset the timer. So sorry, and then we add another variable that starts the timer that also we need to set as false. So okay, so only these three things we need to do. I'll save this application. Now you need to copy this where show panel variable because we are going to conditionally showing or hiding this rectangle and this side panel, right? So click on the container, go to its visible property and put that where show panel here. And for the rectangle as well, click on this rectangle, go to its visible property and put that where show panel here. Okay, so let's test this application. So once I click on close, the panel and rectangle are closing. Once I click on this, any other element, the panel opens. So let's say the first one is Frederick, then I'll going to select Diane, then let's say GB. So this is working. Okay, so we are almost done, but the only thing that we are not getting that transition effect, right? So when I click on this, it will immediately open that, but we want that left to right transition. So this is a little bit tricky part. Okay, remember that we have added that variable where start timer. So just copy this and select your timer control. And here we see auto start. Here you need to put that variable. You are going to turn off this auto pause and only thing we have to do. Now the calculation here is, so let's say when I start the timer, remember my container width is 500 and that's the exact same number I have put for the timer. Okay, I'm going to show you the logic here. So here is my container width. Let's say here I put the 500 width, right? And my timer is 500. So let's say when I click on the gallery item, it will start the timer. So initially the container was going to off the screen. So let's say what is the X for the container? As you can see, 866. But if we want this container outside the screen, what we need to do? We have to give it a parent dot width, or let's say app dot width. So as you can see, the container is now outside the screen. Okay, so here the X is set to 1366 and whatever our width of the container is 500. So let's say if I start the timer, it is going from 0 to 500, and that number we are going to subtract it from the actual bit. So once the timer is start, you are going to see the number are generating really fast, like 1 to 500. That's why we are getting this effect. So when I click on it, it will start the timer and from 0 to 500. So from the leftmost corner, from 0 to 500, we are getting this transition. But the thing is, for the X property of that container, we are not going to put this app.width static. We are going to make it dynamic because we want to hide that panel as well. So for this, what we are going to write here, like if our panel is visible, so where show panel is true, that is our variable. Then we need to set the X is app.width minus whatever the timer value is, timer.value. Otherwise, like this is the else part, as you can see. Otherwise, the X property will be whatever the width of the app. Okay, let's play this app. So when I click on it, as you can see the panel opening. When I click on close, it will close. When I click on other items, the panel is opening. And when I click on close, it will close. So remember, if your container width, if you are building a form or anything, you want the full panel. So if you increase the container width, let's say to 800, then make sure you increase the timer also to the 800. Or you can make it completely dynamic, I guess, whatever the container one what dot width is here. Like, so this is completely dynamic. So let's say if I put it, let's say 650, let's see what happens. I will click on play. I will click on it. So as you can see, the width increases and the transition as well. When I click on it, the panel open. So whatever the width of the container is, you need to set the exact number as the timer. Now you can use this logic to in your own application. I did not created a fancy application here because the main purpose was to showcase the logic behind this transition effect. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.